Hello, everyone. This is PamelaTopjian, your host for Holistic Connections, Conversations with Holistic Practitioners. And today, my guest is part of the series for June Pride Month, showcasing LGBTQ plus holistic practitioners. So I will let you introduce yourself and share what you do in the holistic healing world.
Okay. So, hi, my name is Laurel Segal. I am a postpartum doula and a pediatric sleep consultant. I work with new parents and parents who have done it before and basically look at the whole being so that we can fix any sleep problems that are occurring. I specialize in working with folks that are going through or have gone through infertility treatments, IVF, specifically, or as well as infant and pregnancy loss,
Yeah.
which can be tricky, but there's a reason that I specialize in it, and it works really well with the clients that I've supported because we can relate to one another.
Yeah, yeah. I think for so many people, when you've got your own experience that you can share with your clients, that really adds an extra value of connection with your clients, for
For
sure.
sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's a lot of my job is emotional. So it's supporting the emotional aspect of the parents and making sure that they feel seen and heard
Yeah.
and that they understand that their whole journey is respected and understood. Even if I haven't gone through it myself, I see them and I know that it's tricky and we can still teach their baby to sleep independently and they can still feel connected to their baby.
Yeah. We're talking about pregnancy loss and infertility issues and things that can be really difficult to deal with. But even just that newborn, who's not sleeping, and the
Yeah.
mother who's completely exhausted, or maybe the whole family's exhausted, and that can be really much more difficult than I think, we even ever talk about. Mostly it's like, yeah, haha, good luck getting some sleep. It's kind of a joke, that parents who have children will joke with new
Mm.
parents, but it can be really emotionally taxing for sure. So, so you're doing some good work out there, and I appreciate
Thank
you.
you.
It's much needed for sure. So another thing we should mention that's on your website, you are able to work with folks who are deaf as well.
Yes.
So that's great. I'm sure that's something that people have trouble finding.
Yeah, I haven't supported a lot of families who have needed my skills in American
Hmm.
Sign Language, but I'm definitely out there and I'm available for clients who need that skill.
Yeah.
And I also have a background in deaf studies and deaf culture. And I dated someone for a while who is deaf, and it taught me a lot about the deaf community and the deaf world. And it also helped my sign skills a lot.
Yeah.
And I
Of
am
course.
able, of course, and I'm able to support families whether their children are deaf and they need special support that way or they are deaf themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. Even though you might not have come across a lot of families yet, that's there for an option just in case. So great. So for people who might not have heard of what a postpartum doula is, can you explain that a little bit, please?
Sure. So postpartum doulas are non-medical professionals that support the family after they give birth. So instead of a nanny who
Hmm.
focuses on the infant,
Yeah.
we focus on, well, I'm also a professional nanny. I didn't mention that part.
Okay.
But I also, as a postpartum doula, we focus more on the parents. And there's a term out there saying mother the mother.
Right.
So it's
I love
appropriate
that.
for today on Mother's Day.
Yes, yes. This won't come out till June, but we're recording on Mother's Day. Yep.
Yes. And so mother the mother, but it's not just for moms. And I've had clients who have had the the fathers have said to me, I thought this was just for moms, but now I realize it's for the whole family.
Oh, yeah.
So we I personally, I'll say what I do so that because everyone does things a little bit differently. I will do basic food prep, laundry for the baby or the family. I don't specifically care if
Mm-hmm.
I'm washing the parents' clothes, but some people only do baby clothes.
Mm-hmm.
Organization of the baby nursery and of the baby stuff, cleaning of the pump parts and or breastfeeding assistance, a lot of education
Yeah.
and emotional support. I have heard several birth stories and helped parents to process those. I used to do overnight, so I would get a lot of really tired new parents who would just want to talk and they didn't have anyone to talk to, so they would
Oh,
tell me, yeah, they would just tell me their story or tell me their birth story, and I loved that part.
yeah, I would too. Yeah, I love hearing birth stories. I know they're not all roses and whatever,
Right,
they're not all great birth stories, but I still love hearing people's stories. Being a safe space, right? That they know that
right.
you know, they can open up to you and they know that it's a safe space to do that. So that's great. Yeah. So you must work, of course. We should mention where you're located. You work in person, but do you also do any kind of work like remotely
Yes,
through
so
Zoom or
all of my
anything?
sleep support is done remotely, and my
Okay.
postpartum doula support is done in person.
Yeah.
I am located in on the East Coast,
Hmm.
in the Boston area, but I will work with anyone around the world as far as sleep support
Yeah. Yeah.
in any
Nice.
time zone. I've worked with someone in Singapore and someone in Italy.
That's so great. Yeah, I love it. So we should name your Laurel.
Seagull.
Do you pronounce it Seagull? You do pronounce it
Seagull, yeah.
Seagull.
It's
Okay.
a play on words.
Right, right. So that's what I was going to mention here. So go ahead and share your website and your socials and
Sure. So my website, I own the Seagull Nest, and it's
love that.
spelled like the bird.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah.
so it's my website is www.theseagullnest.com, and it's
Yeah.
TheSeagullNest.com.
Okay.
And then my socials, my Facebook is the Seagull Nest LLC, and my Instagram is the Seagull Nest.
Okay. Great. I love that. I love that you did that. It's like if you didn't use that, especially with what you do, and then with the nesting part as well.
Right.
I love it. So great, so creative. So where's the best place for people to reach out to you?
Either my website or Instagram, I
Yeah.
am pretty available.
Okay.
So if I'm sent a message somewhere, I will see it.
Okay. Is there anything that you wish that your clients knew before they reached out to you?
That's a loaded question, I feel. I like when people are decisive and they know that they already want to work with somebody. It doesn't have to be with me, but they know that they want to work with a sleep consultant and they're
Yeah.
not wavering
Mm-hmm.
and they're just looking for the right fit.
Mm-hmm.
That always makes me happy because then it's not, well, let me talk to my husband, let me talk to my I've had a couple let me talk to my wife.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um but it's more, we're going to interview a couple more people and we'll get back to you.
Yeah.
I like that.
Because they're being very responsible about it and they're making sure that they're well informed and that they get the right fit for them. Anything else that you want people to know about what you do or anything else you'd like to share?
Well, I am also a mom.
Mm-hmm.
I have 16-year-old stepdaughters that came with the marriage
Yeah.
and a 3-year-old son and another baby on the way.
Congratulations.
Thank you. When
Love
this
that.
airs, he will be here the following month. He's due in July.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So that's exciting, but it also helps me to relate to families. I know that there's a lot of sleep consultants who don't have children, and that's fine. It
Mm-hmm.
works for them.
Yeah.
And but for me, it helps me on my level so that I can relate to the families who have been through
Right.
fertility and the IVF and the infant loss or the pregnancy loss. Unfortunately, that's a huge part of my story, and I'm so open about that.
Yeah.
So, if anybody watching this has been through that or needs somebody to talk to, even if you're not seeking sleep consulting
Mm.
or postpartum doula work, if you just want somebody to talk to who understands you, I'm here.
Oh,
And
nice.
I love supporting people regardless. Like, I'm not here to making a buck is great, but that's not why I'm reaching out to the world for this.
Yeah,
I just, everyone needs to feel heard. And
absolutely.
I want to make sure that everyone listening to this feels heard.
Absolutely. So nice. Um, so did you first become interested in doing the work that you're doing because of your own experiences, or was it even before that?
So, as I mentioned, I'm a nanny
Mm-hmm.
and I have sleep trained so many children, and it becoming a doula made sense first. So I became a doula. It was just a natural evolution of my career. And then one day I had been looking at sleep consulting, and I had actually been looking at it for quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
And I just clicked the button and I was like, I'll tell my wife later. I'm just doing it. I'm
Yeah.
taking the plunge.
Yeah.
And luckily, I have the most supportive wife ever. And she was like, I'm so glad that you did that because you have been talking about it for a really long time.
Yeah.
So I did it. And it all makes sense in my world to be a sleep consultant
Mm-hmm.
and a postpartum doula. I love supporting families and I love education and I love
Yeah.
teaching. So it all makes sense. And when I first started, I wasn't specializing in anything. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
know what to niche down to.
Yeah.
And a lot of my clients came from a specific IVF group that I'm in. And then I looked at my clientele and I said, wait a minute, this is my clientele, this is my specialty.
Yeah.
So all it was just a natural progression that worked out the way it did.
Nice. And you followed your heart, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just followed your own heart, showed you the way, what you needed to
Yeah.
do.
I love what I do.
Yeah, yeah, great. Um, so, speaking of that too, what do you wish that you knew before you started?
I knew nothing about running my own business.
Yeah, I can
But
relate with that.
yeah, right? Most entrepreneurs can.
Mm-hmm.
Most, not all. Um,
Right. Some are
and
very good at
I
every
know.
side of it, every aspect. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not one of those people.
No, me neither. That's part of why I'm doing this is not just the Pride Month one, but this is why I'm doing holistic connections, conversations with holistic practitioners. Part of the reason is because a lot of holistic practitioners have a hard time getting what they do out to the world
Mm,
and or just, on social media and maybe they have a website, but who's going to go to it unless it's put out there? And if
right.
somebody's not on social media a lot and, they need some of these services, hopefully some of those people are watching or
Yeah.
listening because we're on YouTube and podcast platforms. But yeah, just to help holistic practitioners get the word out about what they do and to help dispel any misconceptions. So speaking of that, have you had any kind of people that have reached out to you and it wasn't really what they thought, what you do wasn't exactly what they thought you did? Like, is there any misconceptions or people that didn't quite understand?
I'm very candid with what I do
Yeah.
and like on the frequently asked questions on my website, I'm very clear with who I work with and who I don't work with.
Yeah.
And on my Instagram, I'm very straightforward.
Yeah.
Um, and However, I get just in the sleep training community in general, I've had parents say like sleep training is leaving your baby in the room
Mm,
to cry and ignoring it's neglect and it's ignoring their needs. And I'm like, actually, that's not at
eh,
all what I do.
right. That's what my generation was taught.
Right.
Yeah. Let them cry it
And
out. Yeah.
yeah, and people assume that sleep training is cry it out. And cry it out still, you still want to make sure that your child's needs are met.
Right. Of course.
Yeah. But what I do specifically, I work with a lot of parents that want a gentler approach because they
Yeah.
are more emotionally attuned to their children
Hmm.
for one reason or another. And most of my parents don't even leave the room until towards the end of the process
Hmm.
because they want a very parent-led approach.
Yeah.
And I make sure it's known like your child is going to cry, but they're crying because it's their communication and they don't have other ways to tell you that they're unhappy with you changing up their sleep routine.
Yeah. Right.
And
Yeah.
it's
Crying isn't
not,
always a bad thing. Yeah.
no. I always say, why did you change this on me? It was working great.
Yeah. Right.
But
Yeah.
I go by the whole, if something isn't working for everyone, then it's not working for anyone.
Yeah. Yeah. Going back to the whole family, it's not just a mother thing. Yeah.
Right, absolutely not.
Or just a
And
baby thing. Yeah.
no. And so I want to make sure that the entire family is heard and
Yeah.
seen. I'll keep saying that until I'm blue in the face.
Yeah. That's
And
okay.
try to make sure that people who think that the folks that do cry it out, which is more than just lock your child in a room and see them in the morning.
Yeah.
Um,
Ignoring them.
yeah, it's more than that, but
Yeah.
it I don't do that method. It's called extinction, and I couldn't do that with my son, so I'm not going to do that with anyone else. But I make sure that I'm heard and people see that I work a certain way and I will happily bash your, or not bash your misconception, but like shoot it down.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that it's been generations of people, and it's going to be a little while, I guess, that, people stop thinking that that's what sleep training is,
Mm.
of just, ignoring them. Yeah, that's terrible. So anything that you have been surprised about doing the work that you do throughout the years? Like when you first started compared to now, what has surprised you the most, if anything?
I'm still not super busy,
Hmm.
and that has surprised me. I was hoping by now I would have a full clientele,
Yeah.
and I'm about to go on my fourth year in
Yeah.
July, and it isn't the case. I'm steady.
Mm-hmm.
I have about 2 to 3 clients a month, and that's great.
Yeah.
I wish there was more, but it is what it is, and I still need to work at getting my name out there. And I think I'm just surprised at how much work it takes to make sure that your name stays out there.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are a lot of sleep consultants out there, but we all are different and
Right.
we all bring something different to the table. And it's a matter of making sure that they know who I am and that I can help them in a certain way.
Yeah, and all that you have to offer, because, I encourage anybody and everybody to look at Laurel's website. Yeah, all the offerings and everything, all the certifications and like you said, there's frequently asked questions on there as well, so that's great. So yeah, I guess that's about it, unless you had anything else that you think you wanted people to know before we go.
No, I want to thank you for having me on the show. And we connected 3 years ago, and I'm
Yeah.
really glad that you remembered that I exist. And I see you all the time on Instagram, and I I remember you from 3 years ago, and you make me
Yeah.
smile
Oh,
still.
good, good. I'm
So
so
I
glad and
appreciate it.
honored that you remembered me. So yeah, I'm glad that you agreed to come on. And you are actually my very first guest that I have actually ever even met before. I mean, virtually, but yeah, first guest that I've ever even knew before
Wow,
this. So yeah,
that's really neat.
yeah. Okay, so everybody check out the website, theseagullnest.com. It'll be below. Also, the Instagram and Facebook will be in the description below. And if you're watching on YouTube, we are also on podcast platforms. If you prefer that, you can listen. If you're listening, you can also watch on YouTube. And if you are watching on YouTube, you might see that I have a burst blood vessel in my eye. So if anybody puts this on the big screen, they'll probably see it. But I know some people watch YouTube on their TV. But I just wanted to mention it in case somebody notices and says, "What's up with that eye?" But yeah, so so thank you so much for being my guest. I am so honored that you agreed, and I loved having you on and being able to share what you do. It's so important in the world. Please contact Laurel Segal, you guys, and we will see you later.
Bye.